Okay, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you are all able to hear me. So today's webinar, thank you very much for joining us. And if you could just make sure that your cameras are switched off and your microphones are muted, that would be fantastic, thank you. And also just to let you know that this session will be recorded and it will be shared on the EdTech website from Ribblesdale High School. So you'll be able to access the recording after this webinar if there's anything that you want to catch up on, or if you want to just rewatch the presentation, you can do as well. Also, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to pop them in the chat box at the side, and we'll have a look at the questions at the end of the webinar as well. So that would be great if you could pop your questions in there. Thank you. Okay, so today's webinar is about setting up work for your users on Google Classroom, and Michael will be talking to you a little bit more about that in more detail in a second. But I'm just going to quickly outline the consortium, what it is, what we stand for, and how we can help and support schools and colleges moving forward. So there are 3 schools that are part of this consortium. There's Ribblesdale High School in Clitheroe, which is where myself is from. There's Highfurlong Special School and also Hambleton Primary School. So we have 2 primary schools in the consortium and a secondary school. So we have quite a diverse makeup in terms of what skills we can offer, what support we can offer. Hambleton today is focusing on Google. Us at Ribblesdale, we focus on Microsoft. And again, Highfurlong is special education. So again, we've got a lot of skills within this consortium to be able to support different people across the Northwest. So our role, sorry if you could just pop back a second. Thank you. So we are well equipped to support primary, secondary and post-16 phases. We've been awarded the EdTech Demonstrator School status based on the success that we've had within our schools with the use of EdTech to support our pupils and to encourage that progress and that learning. So again, it's important that we're out there to support other schools and colleges for you to ask us any questions and also to support you with your own digital transformation plans. So we also able to give a real life view on how EdTech can be used to support across the whole organisation. So we do often do these webinars with teachers from schools and how they've used EdTech effectively, so they can share strategies that they've already used that have been done, and they are proven to be successful in our educational settings, and therefore we can then move that on and share that expertise with other people. Thank you. So what can we offer then as the consortium? So we offer support and guidance on digital platforms for learning. So that can be anything from Google Classroom, from the Google Education Suite, it can be from Microsoft Teams, or it could be from other platforms such as GCSE Pod, Learning by Questions, Nearpod, anything like that. We can also use that as well. We harness EdTech for remote and hybrid working. So we all have successful strategies from using technology remotely, like many people across the country have. We've been thrown into unprecedented times and we've had to adapt pretty quickly to make sure our pupils don't lose out on learning. So we've been able to do that, but also before going into a remote learning environment, we also use EdTech within the classroom for that blended hybrid approach as well. The keeping children safe while using EdTech, this has to be, safeguarding is obviously the most important part of being in education. It's important that our children are safe whilst using EdTech. And these are already embedded within our safeguarding policies. And we haven't had to rewrite or make any additional ones. They are already embedded within the ones that we are doing. We use EdTech to support our SEND pupils, as well as pupils who are in mainstream education. So we will talk a lot in these webinars about how EdTech can be used to support SEND or those in mainstream. A key focus is managing pupil and teacher wellbeing. Now, that is a huge focus of people teaching across the country. Obviously, pupils are having to get used to a situation that they're not necessarily used to, and us as teachers, we're having to not only deal with teaching our pupils remotely, but we're also having to deal with other things outside, where we've got family commitments, children at home, homeschooling. So we are spinning several plates. So it is important that we're looking after our pupil and teacher wellbeing as well. Looking at the support and teacher CPD, that's been fantastic. So we have been delivering webinars pretty much like this one that you guys are on today, but we've also been delivering webinars within our own settings. CPD is huge for teachers, and I think it's important that we do continue to develop teachers in these times and equip people with skills that they can then use moving forward when we're, hopefully, whenever this may be, when we're all back into schools. And the final one is the EdTech transformation strategy. It's important when you're thinking about your transformation strategies that they are not just based on remote learning. They should be quite long lasting, and it should have an opportunity to develop into the educational setting, into the school settings as well. Our pupils have shown so much. You know, they've looked at the metacognition, they've looked at self-regulation, they've been able to develop so many skills, and it's important that we harness those skills when we go back into the classroom to allow those pupils to really thrive in different environments. So that's just a little bit of information about the consortium and sort of what we are doing and what kind of support we can offer to you guys. I'm now going to pass over to Michael Goldie, who's going to be talking to you a little bit more about the Google Classroom in more detail. Thank you, Michael.
Hello, thank you, Louise. Hopefully you can hear me okay here. So first of all, I'm just going to give you a bit of an introduction about who I am and where we are with our learning journey as an academy. First of all, my name is Michael Goldie. I've been teaching for 10 years. I teach at the primary school, which is Hambleton. We have 260 children on roll. We're an Ofsted Outstanding Rating school, and we are based in the village of Hambleton in Lancashire. So how has technology been embedded within the ethos of our school? Well, first of all, a few years ago, we decided to invest in a one-to-one iPad scheme. The way we have done that is through a third-party company who charge the parents £17 a month for the most up-to-date iPad, and then we set it up for them within school. We also have a Google administration suite that most of you should have if you're in on this webinar today. And because we've got that, that's enabled us to have Google Classroom and all the Google apps, which I use and the other teachers in our academy use day to day. Something else which is quite new, the last year or so we brought in is wireless board technology. We use something called a Microsoft wireless adapter. And what that enables us to do is wirelessly mirror our laptops onto the boards and also our iPods onto the boards. And that works really well for us. That means that any teacher, anyone else from outside can come into our school and they don't have to worry about cables. It's bang straight onto any screen within our academy. We've also started, well, I'll probably say for a couple of years now, actually, we've also began supporting other schools within our network. For years, we've provided valuable support, actually, within the FCAT network. We're very fortunate to have loyal staff who have been supporting other schools all the way down from EYFS all the way through to myself supporting other schools to embed computer science in primary years. And also we are an accredited teaching school where we support new teachers coming into the profession and give them the tools to use technology effectively within the classroom. Okay, our journey to remote learning. First of all, we were very fortunate that we had the Google teaching and learning platform well established within our academy. We have the Google Drive file stream, which is embedded within all our laptops. That means you don't have to go actually into Google Drive on a web browser. It's already embedded within our folders in Windows. That means we can save everything straight into the drive. Works fantastically, means we don't need a big bulky hard drive at school for a shared drive. Our shared drive is on a cloud and it works really well. Then I'm going to talk about how we came together as a consortium. Well, as Louise said before, as a consortium, we have specialities in different fields. Ribblesdale's a Microsoft school, Hambleton is a Google school, and Highfurlong is a school which uses specialist technology to support SEN children. And with all of these skills, we were quite a strong application, and that was the reason I think our application was successful. And then there was the COVID-19 lockdown. So the EdTech bid was then changed into more of a remote learning bid. How can you support remote learning throughout the country and help people use remote learning currently and into the future as well? So obviously this whole EdTech strategy has been reinvented now to support that remote learning. Okay. How do we use remote learning? Well, first of all, we do have the Google Admin Suite. We then set up the Google Classroom back of house, making sure the privileges were correct, all the safeguarding procedures were in place for that. Then we gave out CPD for staff and children. Not an easy task, but we had everyone who was very willing to do it. CPD for children was very tricky because it was a week before lockdown, and we had to literally go around each class and show them how to respond to feedback, how to set work, return work, and things like that. So it was quite hard to do, and we're talking down from year 1 up to year 6. Is it working fully well? Yeah, I believe it is. There's always room for refinement, though, and I'm hoping today the information that I give you will help you set some of the work for your Google learning journey. And another key aspect there is your communication with your parents. It's really good, Google Classroom, at communicating with parents. We can do it through private messaging, one-to-one, but they can also do it through posts, and it works really effective, just keeping parents up to date with what is going on in school and how to support their children at home with work. Okay, now on to today's actual webinar. I'm going to quickly recap on how you set up your classes. That was the webinar I did a couple of weeks ago. Then I'm going to talk about how you set up initial work, how students respond to work, reusing work to save time, scheduling work for the future, how to provide feedback, and how children can respond to feedback as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come off this slide. And hopefully at this stage, I should just be on the screen fully. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my full screen now, which will enable you to see how I begin to set up work. Okay. There we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, first of all, where you go to access your Google Classroom. This goes back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago when you're setting up your Google Classroom. You have your array up in the corner here, and if you click on that, this gives you access to your Google Apps. Down here, we have the Classroom. And this, I'm hoping we can all see this, this is the layout of my Academy's classrooms. You see we have a student council one, nursery, reception, year 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, well, and 4, of course. We have all of our classrooms set up and they are being used daily. In order to set up a new classroom, you click on the 3 lines in the top left, go right down to the bottom. Oh, sorry, no, you click up here on the add button and you can create or even join a class. Now today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a piece of daily work. I'm going to then mirror an iPad, which one of the children may have, and show them how they respond to that work. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how the work is sent out and how it's responded to as well, and helps you in your remote learning journey. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my year 5 classroom, because I'm a year 5 teacher, and I'm going to go to classwork. So as you can see here, there's my today's tasks. And if I go in and view this assignment, you can see all the work I've set my children for today, and a slight schedule and a small schedule, sorry, about what to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to show you how I'd set it up, and then hopefully that'll give you some ideas and some pointers about what you should do. Okay, so click back on the year 5 tab. I'm going to click up here. You have 4 tabs up the top here. This is your stream. This is where you can just post quick messages to the children and they can comment back to you. Up here is the actual classwork tab. Now, I'm going to create some new classwork. There is options to use different types of materials, create questions and quizzes using Google Forms. But today I'm really going to look at just Google assignments and creating an actual piece of work. So just for today's example, I'm going to put test work 1st July 2020. Then something very simple. I usually put in here an itinerary of what I want them to do. So it'll usually start with something very simple. Hello, children. How are you? Here is today's schedule of work. Okay. And then you can start attaching work and give them ideas about what they want to do. I have given them, as a school, so we have decided that we will set some spelling activities in the morning. Then we'll have a piece of maths, then some English. Then we also have a topic piece in the afternoon. And then for the end of the day, they will go on TT Rockstars, which is an app for times tables, and they'll go on Book Club, which is an app for reading. We don't need to set anything there. Their work is already set, and they just go on and it sorts itself out. It's really good. So today, just as an example, I'm going to set some English work, which will be spellings, and I may ask them to do that from, let's say, from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. You can obviously change this depending on how you want your schedule of work to do. Then we might have some maths, which might have something to do with multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000. And I may want them to do that from 9:30 till 10:30. Okay. Now, once you give them the instruction there, they obviously need the resources to be able to access this. So if you click on Add, and if you click on File, this will go straight to, if you click in here, you can drag the files in, or you can select the files from your device. So here you've got your File Explorer. And I was talking before about using Google Drive File Stream, that if you see down the side here, I have a folder called Google Drive File Stream. This is connected directly to our Google Cloud Drive. This is our shared drive. And in here, we have our Hambleton shared area with all the shared work, which you'll all be familiar with the shared drive, but this is our Google one. And the reason we use this is because it's cloud-based, it's secure. You can also access it on a phone, works really well for us. So anyway, back to today's webinar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the work that I've set, which will be in my year 5 and 6 planning area. And then if I click down and find work for webinar, you'll see that I've got a spellings PDF. It can be PowerPoints or PDF. They can both be read. And they also lesson 3 on multiplying decimals by 10, 100, 1,000, nearly there. And you click on open and you simply upload the files in. Now, as you can see, the work is now ready to go and it is ready to be sent. So before you send it, at the top here, you see you have a button that says assign. This means if you assign it, it will go to the year 5 children and it'll be sent to all the students. Some staff decide that they want to set all their weekly work. So what you can do, if you wish, you can schedule the work. And by scheduling the work, you can set it for some date in the future and it will go live at that certain date for them and they can automatically access it. The beauty of it is that once the work has been assigned to them, it will pop up on their iPads or devices, and even on mum or dad's phone at home, it pops up as a notification saying work has been set. So it's not like they can't see that it's been set. It'll pop up as a notification and it's really effective, really works well. So just for today, I'll make sure it's for year 5, but I'm not going to set it for all students because I don't want my students thinking, oh, I've got a load more work to do today, which I'm sure they'll be happy about. But if I go down, I've already created a test account, which is a child. So I'm just going to allocate it to them today to show you what would happen. So I click assign. And as you can see now, the work has been assigned, which is down there, test work, 1st of July 2020. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the perspective and I'm going to show you what the child sees from an iPad view. Hopefully now you should be able to see my mirrored iPad on my screen. I'm just going to make it large so you can all see it. I'm just going to check it's working, which it is. And hopefully you can see this now. So in the bottom corner, you can see the Google Classroom app, which I am just going to show you there. I will click on that. And as you can see, there is my year 5 Google Classroom. This is what the children would see. If I click on this here, this post, as you can see, there is your notification. It came up already. Now, if I click on here, what it will do is it will take me into my classroom. Sometimes it takes a while for it to load. And you have those 3 options down the bottom. You have stream, classwork, and then people you can see using your class, what your teacher may put on your stream, and also your classwork, which is in the middle. So as you can see here, we have the work, which is being set, And there is my lesson there, which has been sent. Hello, children, how are you? That's what work was sent. So if I click on that new assignment, it will bring up the work. And as you can see, English spellings 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. So if I click on the PDF, it will open. And this is the beauty of this. This is where the children can either, let's say if they don't have any paper or pens at home, which a lot of children, believe it or not, don't, they can actually do this on their iPads itself. They can respond to it and send it back to me. So if I said, write down your spellings for this week, and I click on the little pencil, by clicking on that pencil, it creates an editable document which I can start typing on. Now, you have some options down the bottom. You have either writing pen, highlighter, or you can type. For this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit in pen. So I might just put my spelling. My first spelling is cow. And then just to show you how they can also type in there, I'm going to change this one and I'm going to write down dog on the keyboard, dog. And as you can see, a couple of nice simple spellings. Once that child has practiced the spellings or whatever the work may be, if they simply click on save in the top right corner, as you can see, the document is now called edited spellings and it is now ready to send. So all they need to do is click the X, come out of the spellings document, and they also, you see, you've got your lesson 3 multiplying by decimals there. Down the bottom, it says your work. If you click the up thing to bring it up, you can see it automatically attaches just here as edited spellings. That is the edited work which that child will have just done, and it's already attached. Now, I'm not going to return this work yet because I've not finished the maths. So if I go back down and then I click in lesson 3, multiplying decimals by 10, 100, and 1,000. We've signed up for the White Rose Maths. It's absolutely fantastic. The reason being is that it gives daily worksheets. It also gives an input, which is a pre-recorded video for about 5 minutes and gives the answers. We upload it all so they can also self-mark all their work and makes it easier on the teacher. Once they're in here, once again, they have the option to click on the pencil. They can edit the work. So I might want to keep this nice and clear. So if I click on the A, I go into that one. I'm going to start on question 2, complete the multiplication. 1.7 times 10 is 17. And then I can come out of it. And once the child's done the work, they can click save. And that work is then edited. Once that work is edited and completed, they click X again, and down the bottom it says your work, and there's a little arrow clicking up. You click on that, and there is both of your work, both of the child's work, edited, ready to send in. So all I'm going to do is, as a child, I'm going to add a private comment saying, here is my completed work. Thanks, Mr. G. Okay, and then I'm going to send that. It's not been handed in yet, though. You still need to click on the blue hand in bar. Hand in your work. 2 attachments will be submitted, which was the edited work they do. Click hand in, and it is done. Assignment has now been handed in. So once that work's been sent, now you probably want to see what it's like from the teacher perspective. So I'm going to minimize the screen. I'm going to go back to that classwork for the day. And I'm going to go to that test work, click on it, and I'm going to go to view assignment. Now, as you can see, the child here, it says 1 piece of work handed in. If you have 33 children, it'll say which ones are still assigned, which ones are handed in. And all you do is you click on the work and you should, hopefully, there you go. You can see the edited work that they've done. Now, there are options here where you can add a mark scheme. We don't add mark schemes, but you can give them marks out of 100. You can also change these mark schemes within the settings. But for today, I'm just going to show you how to do the feedback on here. So we'll start with the spellings. So in here, as you can see, they're all right, of course. So I'm just going to put a comment in. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to put well done. Now, Now, if they had spelt it wrong, this is your opportunity here. Let's say cow is not spelt like that and it's spelt something else. Then you might put, can you check your spelling? Now, as you can see down the bottom, it's given me a couple of options here. What you can actually do is, can you write the spelling correctly 3 times, please? I might want to change that and then post the comment. The reason that came up like that was because you have a comment bank and you can add anything that you want to a comment bank, and you can see your comment bank at the side of the screen. Okay, and it usually tells you over here where your comments are. So you click on there and there you go, there's your comment bank, and that may save you a bit of time when returning work. Now, once you've sent that, a child will get a response back on their iPad saying some work has been returned to you. So if I click on return, click return, and if I go into the screen, you can see at the top there, it says Michael Goldie return test work. So the child will go into that work, which I'll show you again. The spellings. Let's just check that. So if I go into my work, and then if I click on their spellings, sometimes it doesn't load up immediately and it's sent back to you. But what it does usually is it will come up with the spellings which have been changed with your bit of feedback, and then the child can then respond to that in any way you wish. You may decide to get them to write them down, etc., but they can then respond to that. I'll just double check that's gone through again. Okay. There is a slight problem with this. I've noticed that whenever you send feedback as, I'll just close my screen down here. Whenever you send feedback through this actual add a comment box, sometimes it doesn't pop up correctly on the screen. The way I would send the feedback to the child is through a private message, probably the best way to do it at the moment. So in order to do that, all you would simply do is, here's my completed work, Mr. G, and down there I'd put thanks. Can you check your spellings? And then if you post that back to them, and they will get another pop-up, as you can see here. Oh, hang on, sorry. They'll have a pop-up there, added another private comment, and they get those notifications, those pop-ups to tell you that they've done that. So they can go in and then they can check that work. Okay. So that in a nutshell is how you can respond to work and give feedback. There is also an option which we've started to do at Hambleton, is starting to use Google Meet in order to respond to work, or just to give praise and encouragement. What I've tended to do now is that on a Friday, I will pre-record a Google Meet, and I'll send it to them. Currently, we are not setting up Google Meet with our children because of safeguarding issues, but we've put a plan in place, a policy, which will enable parents to keep them safe at home, to make sure they're in an appropriate place, so then we can start doing more instruction through Google Meet. But what I have started doing is, if you ever need to, if you go into Google and if you type up the top Google Meet, and when you're up here, if you click on there, you can start a meeting. You can just call it test, and if I continue, in here, you should be able to see me here. If I click on join that meeting, I'm not going to because it'll probably conflict with what I'm doing today. Once I click join, there is an option on the 3 bars there when you go in. If you click on the 3 little circles there, it says record at the top. If you click record, and then after it, click record off, it will automatically send that recording to your email, and you can share that through the Google Classroom. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go back to the main piece for today, and then I will go back to Louise, who will then just finish us off for today. Just bear with me. I'll just change this off and go back to our presentation. Okay. Thank you, Louise. Back to you.
Thank you, Michael. That was fantastic. I hope everybody's taken some fantastic ideas from that. Okay, so just back to me just quickly, just looking at the next steps in terms of moving forward and what types of things you might want to start having a look at. So if you haven't already, you can register for interest for further support from the EdTech Demonstrator project that focuses on your school's specific needs. So if you do want to get in touch and register your interest, please feel free to do so. That will then be forwarded on to the relevant school that can help your school setting. Put in place your own EdTech plan, being aware that it will have to adapt over time. Obviously, the kind of EdTech plan that we're looking at now will be very different to what it perhaps would look like when all the pupils are back in school. But like I said before, the EdTech plan needs to be something that can be developed and something that can be cemented within our pupils and helping them learn for a long period of time. Review the procedures that you have in place with a specific focus on keeping students safe while remote working. I mentioned that briefly at the beginning, and Michael just echoed it then with not doing the meets with the pupils. Obviously, safeguarding with the pupils, having the webcams, that type of thing, opens up a whole world of issues. So it's really important that the safeguarding of the pupils is key and is paramount in terms of your discussions. And then if you are interested in directing the staff to the Google for Educational Help webpage to get support with Google and technology and teaching with that technology pedagogy to underpin that understanding, direct your staff within your organisations to that website as well, just to give you a bit more information. And then finally, as you can see up there is the website edtech.ribblesdale.org/demonstrator. I've also popped a link in the chat where this video will appear in about 24 hours time. And on there, you've got some Twitter handles of people who have spoken today. You've got myself, Louise, down the bottom. You've got Michael on the right-hand side. Paul and Lee, they're from Ribblesdale High School. And you've also got Erica, our assistive technology practitioner. So if you feel free to give those people a follow on Twitter, again, you can ask them any questions. They might be able to answer them quite quickly, or they might direct you to the demonstrator programme. So whichever one is beneficial to you. And any questions? I've been monitoring the chat, Michael, and we don't appear to have any questions. The only one we did have was the recording and said that was yes. There's one. Can you enlarge your screen when teaching one-to-one so that you can see what you are sharing with the child, so that you can see what you are pointing to?
Yes, you can. When you mean enlarge the screen, what will happen is when you go into when you set up a Google Meet, you have options down the bottom. And those options will enable you to either mirror your screen or share a different tab. So you just have to choose that option and what you wish to actually choose. In order to actually magnify in, I think your best solution for that is probably just to make the screen zoom in on like the web browser of the page. And that's probably your best option there.
Okay, thank you. And if we haven't got any more questions, that brings us to the end of our webinar. I hope you've taken some great tips from it. And again, if you have any more questions, please feel free to get in touch via Twitter or the EdTech Demonstrator programme. And aside from that, Michael, if you've nothing to add?
No, just like to thank everyone for their time today. Much appreciated. And just remember, tomorrow we also have a safeguarding webinar, which you'll be able to find on our EdTech Ribblesdale website, which will be live from 2:30.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.